This is a chance for us to come together. It's been a while since we were together, so it's been a chance for us to come together and kind of take a fresh look. You're coming into the year of the dragon. We had a little chat about how many dragons we have. So far, none. Anyone who just came on the call, a dragon? Oh, all right. Well, what we thought we'd do this morning is talk a little bit about the insights that one needs for the year ahead. And I'm going to just talk briefly about three. We're starting a little bit late, so I'm just going to talk about three insights, but I'm actually going to refer to them as three faiths, three aspects of faith that will help you to go through this year with a lot of power. So the first insight or the first faith is faith in the true self. And you remember when we were together, we talked a lot about the true self, right? What is this true self? So having faith in the true self means that I understand that beneath the circumstances of my life, beneath my body and my illnesses and my family and my tangles at work and all that, is this eternal spark, this eternal light that I am. And that this true self, in its original state, was extremely powerful. So what does that mean? Power, from the perspective of the self, from the perspective of spirituality, means that you aren't influenced by anything you don't want to be influenced by. So you can hold whatever state you want to hold, regardless of what's going on around you. That's power for the true self. Now, when the true self first is in the world, that is its state. So we were originally extremely powerful in these subtle ways. We could hold the awareness of whatever we wanted. Anything that came up in front of us, we had no problem with that. We were able to accept it and move with it. But over time, what happens to the true self is that there are weaknesses that begin to come in. So there are feelings of influence. We talked about influence too when we were together, you remember? We talk about what are the thoughts that continue to recur in the mind. What is it that continues to come back to you? For some, they worry a lot. For some of them, it's feelings of regret. I wish I hadn't done that. For others, it's burdens, these huge responsibilities that I'm feeling. How am I going to manage, right? So those influences. So the true self, through time, has experiences that begin to weaken it. So instead of having that power, that ability to hold whatever inner state we want, suddenly we find ourselves pulled by these influences. And as that happens, as our mind begins to spin with these different thoughts and our heart begins to be filled with the heaviness, we're losing power. So having faith in the true self isn't just about, yes, I believe that I'm eternal. It's about, I understand that I have the capacity to be extremely powerful and benevolent. That no matter what is going on around me, I have the capacity to return to that state where I can hold anything that goes on. where I can control the thoughts that come in my mind. I can control my inner state, because everything we do, everything we say comes from that inner state. So if I'm weakened, if I'm anxious all the time, or I'm worried, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, when I open my mouth, that's what will come out. Weak thoughts will come out. Feelings of overwhelm will come out. And I won't be able to manage my life. So our faith, this first faith, has to do then with this, with the true self, and with our ability to know that this is possible for us. Not only possible, but sort of necessary for us. So that's the first insight, is that we are able to return to this powerful self. So the second insight is a faith that there is a source presence that is immovable, eternal, and continually benevolent, powerful, and also that's eternally connected to the true self. We drift away from that source, but that source doesn't leave. So when we're in our struggles about power, that source remains available to the true self. And our understanding is that this time, this very auspicious time, and I'm not just talking about the year of the dragon, the year of whatever it was last time and the year of whatever it will be next time, we are in an era that's very, very auspicious, because this presence, this powerful, benevolent presence, is more available now than it has been in the past. What this means is that once we're in the awareness of the inner being, we pick up the current of that presence, that power, that source presence. And as soon as we pick that up, it's like a vibration. It's like an extremely pure vibration that we pick up. It's like suddenly you feel a warm breeze come in, or you smell some good food cooking and you turn your head to that. It's like that. But this supreme power suddenly is available. And as you're able to stabilize as a true self, you can pick up that fragrance, that very pure fragrance. And as soon as you can do that, you then have the means for transformation. Because when we link ourselves, the true self, to that source, because that source is only benevolent and powerful and has extreme goodness, we begin to be influenced by that. So if I am in a state of worry, I have some physical condition, or the money situation is bad, or whatever's going on for me, or memories are plaguing me, then I can make that link. And I begin to feel the counterbalancing current, the remedy, the spiritual remedy. So the way this works is, so the true self, if I have a weakness, it's a little bit like a shadow. It's a little bit like an emptiness in the true self. It's like I have lost my peace of mind, or I have lost my capacity for unlimited love. But when I link to that presence, that source presence, whatever's missing in the true self comes pouring in to fill that void. Does that make sense? It makes a subtle sense, right? Maybe not a material sense. So the opportunity of this time is to be able to pick that up, to be able to stay in that connection of my inner self, which is what we worked on when we were together. Can I go inside? Can I realize, okay, fine, my personality, my name, my family, etc., is out there, but in here, I am this eternal being. And I've been wounded a little bit. In my travel through time, I've been a little bit wounded. And so let me connect with this one, this source of spiritual life, and let that current come in and fill the self. So it's a time for rejuvenation of the self. That's why it's auspicious. And it doesn't matter what sign you are. You can be an ox or a rooster or a rat or a dragon. And this is still the time for rejuvenation. So that's the second insight, the insight into the presence, that source presence, and what that can do for the true self. The third insight at this time is the insight of the unfolding of destiny. So the script of destiny is written by our karmas, right? Our past actions have created a bit of a script, because we face the things that our past actions have brought to us. And it's a good thing, because we're facing these things so we can fix them, so we can have insights, so we can heal them. But a lot of times, if something comes towards us, so the incoming moment of this drama of life, of destiny, a lot of times when this moment comes towards us, it may be something we don't want. You know, I don't want this financial problem. I don't want this memory. I don't want this physical diagnosis. So we resist that. We push it away. We tighten up. We resist that. But there's no point in resisting that. To resist it is just to tangle ourselves in the moment. So the insight, the third insight, is the insight into this drama of life, this destiny, that it is benevolent, even when it doesn't appear to be benevolent, even when it appears to be a piece of terrible luck. This is so bad this happened. We were just on the brink of this, and suddenly this happened. And we can say, well, what about war? What about violence? What about all of that? We can go to the extreme and say, how could that be benevolent? But it is benevolent. That's the insight, is that it is benevolent. I don't know why this little thumb is coming on my screen. So if I understand that something that's coming towards me is benevolent, then I won't resist, right? If I really believe this is good, something good is going to come out of this. I mean, sometimes someone will lose a job and they'll think, oh my God, how am I going to manage? But then they'll realize, I think I want to work for myself anyway. I don't think I want to work for anyone else. And a whole world opens up, right? Or someone gets a diagnosis, you have bed rest for a month. And they think, oh my gosh, I'm going to lay in bed for a month. But it turns out to be this month of amazing realization, this month of growth, this month of taking a big leap. So there is benefit living in these moments in this drama. Yeah, Stephen's commenting that's happened to him. I suspect it's happened to a lot of us. But at the time, at the moment it happened, it was a deep intake of breath. Oh no, this isn't what I want. This isn't my plan. You've heard that joke. If you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. So there is a bigger plan, right? There is a bigger plan. And the bigger plan is what's unfolding. And the bigger plan is benevolent. So faith in that, to have faith in that, right? Because in the moment when it happens, we can go, oh my God, this is terrible. And when we say this is terrible, a tension comes inside, right? This resistance comes inside. Oh no. But if I greet this and say, okay, this is somehow benevolent, and I need to see how this is benevolent. Now, these three aspects of faith, these three insights will not only allow us to move through this challenging time, but it will also allow us to return to our original power, the original power of the true self. How is that? So when destiny brings this difficult moment, this difficult situation, this time that I don't want, if instead of resisting and withdrawing and fighting, if I first accept and say, okay, that's what this is. Second, I go into the consciousness of the true self. So my resistance came from my personality. My resistance came because in my lived life in the world, this isn't part of my plan. This isn't what I want. But if I set aside that outer self and I come back to the true self, now I'm in the awareness of who I am through time, who I am through lives, my eternal awareness. In that state, it looks different. In that state, I say, okay, I can do this. And then in that state, that subtle state, I am light, I'm consciousness. Then I connect up, I catch that fragrance of the source of life, and I make that link with that one. And in that moment, instead of becoming weakened by what's going on, I begin to become more powerful. Whatever quality I need to get through this comes to me. So maybe what I need is patience. Maybe what I need is love for someone who I do not have love for. Someone who is so annoying to me that I cannot love them. But this is the opportunity to look at them differently. Maybe what I need is to get through a bad memory that's chasing me to the higher perspective on the situation. And that insight comes to me. So these three faiths work together. So in this year of the dragon that Harry tells us is actually not good for dragons. So it's good there's no dragons here. But it's going to bring challenges no matter what, right? I mean, look at the times we're in. It's going to have its challenges. None of us is going to get through this year and say, well, that was easy, right? Something is going to happen for all of us that's going to be a spark, that's going to bring us to a stop. It was not in our plan. But if in that moment, I remember these three faiths, faith in myself, okay, as a true self, I have a lot of capacity that I have not yet using. I have faith in that. Faith in the source. This is the one that gives me that capacity in a very subtle form once I get the fragrance of that, once I can make that connection. And faith in this destiny or drama, that everything that's about to happen to me is beneficial, and that I'm not going to withdraw, I'm not going to run away, I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to look for the benefit of this. Okay, I'm going to stop. Before we move into some conversations, any questions? Any thoughts? Any reactions? Hi, Terry, Julia, those who have been on before. Nice to see you. Any thoughts or questions about anything I've said, or you just want to move into groups and chat a little bit? Okay. So let me read you the questions that we're inviting you to talk about. So the year of the dragon is an auspicious year. The dragon is famous for being a master of transformation and bringing the fortune of overcoming obstacles. So when you're together, and right now, while I'm reading, you can go ahead and reflect on this. I'll read these questions a little bit slowly so you can reflect on it while I'm reading. What thoughts? So first, think of one obstacle you're facing now. So some obstacle you're currently facing, or that you will likely be facing this year. So think of some obstacle that you're facing or will likely be facing this year. And then 3 questions about that obstacle. One is, what thoughts am I holding about this obstacle? So let's say that I have an aging parent and I know I'm going to have to care for them, right? So what thoughts and feelings am I holding about that? So that's the first question. Second, what is the opportunity that might be living within this obstacle? So this is taking the insight, the faith in destiny, and saying, okay, if I have faith that there's benefit here, what might be the benefit? And if it may not be obvious initially, so just stay with that question. What could possibly be the benefit of what I'm facing? And finally, what new awareness or understanding might allow me to transform my experience of this obstacle? Okay, so just to review, think of one obstacle or challenge you're facing now, or that you will likely be facing this year, and reflect on 3 things. 1, what thoughts am I currently holding about this obstacle? Is it dread? Is it fear? Is it curiosity? What is it? 2, what is the opportunity that might be living within this obstacle? So this is this faith that it's benevolent. And 3, what new awareness or understanding might allow me to transform my experience of this obstacle? Now, let me just say about this third one. When the new awareness or understanding comes in, so let's say I'm in a state of dread or doubt or fear about this obstacle, but I consider the benefit. When the new awareness comes in, it actually changes our inner state. The new awareness creates a different vibrational field around the true self in the heart and in the mind that allows me to actually transform the obstacle. So it's not trivial. These aren't things that it's not like a little thing that plays in the mind. You're actually talking about the inner dynamic of transformation, because the state of dread or fear or confusion has its own vibrational field, which expands the impact of the obstacle, right? So let's say I have a sickness, I have fear about the sickness. Now I have a vibrational field of fear in the body where the sickness is, and in the field around me where the healing is supposed to take place. So my ability to do this magic trick here of transformation of awareness actually changes the situation from the inside out. So let me stop talking and invite you to go into groups and take your time. I think you've got, we're running a little late, but I think you've got until 5 after the hour. So yeah. And then I'll be waiting for you, and I'll be very interested to hear what it is that you come up with.